Where's that?
In Newport.
The Cardi-Girls, we're Cardi-Girls. I'm gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. We're gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. We're gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. We're Cardi-Girls, we're gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, we're singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. The Cardi-Girls, we're gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, we're singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. We're gonna say what we want. The Cardi-Girls, singing from the front. The Cardi-Girls, our mouths are our guns and we here and fighting 'cause it has to be done. Because it has to be done.
Hello.
Hi,
How
girls. Hi.
are you?
Very well. Lovely to see you both.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Well, we
it's my
haven't
pleasure.
we've had a bit of mix up with our dates, but we're all organised again for tonight, which is good. Thank you, Susanna.
It's all right.
Very good.
What have you all been up to?
Oh, plenty of mischief here. Went to the rally on the 31st, which was fabulous and completely misrepresented. But no, it was a really happy day. And I walked with Michael Gray Griffith and Paul and Mai Lee, and it was really a lot of fun. And of course, we all were shouting Aussie, 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 and had our flags. A big group from the Northern Beaches went up together, and we boarded the bus with all our collateral bits and pieces. So that all was marvellous. And when we turned up at Central and saw the park that was so full of people and flags, that was a really high moment. Really good fun.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great.
I didn't get to the one in Adelaide because I've had this slow lingering pox that I've been suffering from, which is I've finally turned the corner, I'm pleased to say, and thank you to everybody for all their advice. I still have a slight cough, but I didn't go to our march here, but my friend Jackie went along and said the vibe was fabulous. She said it was just so wonderful, and the march through the city streets was so wonderful, but it was spoiled right towards the end when the Nationalist Socialist Party tried to take over the PA the and it all got a bit argy-bargy and unpleasant. And so
The mad thing is with that is that they keep saying that the Nazis are far right, but if you look at history, they were the socialists, they were the communists. So it's a ridiculous accusation.
Oh, the
And of
media.
course, yeah, well, that's what happened in Sydney as well. At the very last minute, by which time we'd all gone, actually. We headed off for the pub. It was great fun. We sat at can't remember the name of the pub, but I swear there would have been 5,000 people filing past us, and that was just one exit from the venue. So the people who've accused us of only having 8,000 there were really not counting. So it was very exciting.
Well, they say there was about 8,000 to 10,000 here in Adelaide. So
That probably means 50.
Well, I think there were 35,000 here. That was really the impression I had.
and it was done at very short notice too, wasn't it? Like it was.
Feeling was running very high. The last straw for me was I had just had a chat with Nicola Charles at the White Rabbit, and then literally I think it was a day later she got banned for discussing the march. And I wasn't really sure whether going was a good idea, but as soon as she was banned for discussing it, I thought, right, that's it, I'm going. And of course, so many other people felt the same way. It's this complete feeling like you've got a hobnail boot on your throat. It does upset us a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It's really interesting because our premier's just gone to China.
What's he thinking?
No, it's the she one now. The he one was already over there for the military.
She's gone, has she?
She's gone. And I was told today that she's taken 4 backbenchers with her, which represent 4 of the biggest Chinese communities in Victoria. And
what
then
are
I
they cooking up?
I follow Substack, and something just came up then, was just before actually, about the high-tech, low-life peeks through China's Great Firewall of censorship. So I hope they're not over there learning how to censor us.
Getting a few hints for the national ID, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting because his Substack said that quite a few countries within Asia, so we're Asia, Australia, we're Australasia, we're part of Asia, we're considered Asia, and Africa, which was interesting. So anyway.
Hello, Carla. Hello, Carla. Sorry.
Hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Sorry. Yes, hi there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had our share of overreach on the Vax bus, which you might have heard about. When you might have known that we did the Vax bus going from Ballina down the coast, Gosford and Port Macquarie and Coffs Harbour. And when we got to Penrith, the very officious little man came and told us that the bus couldn't be where the trailers should be parked, even though there weren't any trailers there. But he said, and we said, well, if we attach a trailer to the back of the bus, does that make it okay? He said in all sincerity, oh, yes. So taking up 5 spaces is better than taking up 3, apparently.
Oh, crazy. Now, I think our guest, Susanna, you said maybe our guest tonight might need to leave early, so perhaps if we...
Yes, she does. Let's get Lorraine on. Kelly, I'm hoping that you found the video that I've just emailed to you. Can you hear me, Kelly? Anyway, let's bring on Lorraine. Lorraine is our Adelaide Forest of the Fallen Queen. And she... Queen Bee, that's right. Forest of the Fallen Queen Bee. Where is Lorraine? Oh, here she comes. There she is.
Hello, Lorraine.
Hello, Lorraine. Hi. Welcome
to meet you.
Cardi-Girls. Now, Kelly, can you hear me? Right. It's not promising, is it?
Do you want me to message her?
All right. Well,
I'll message her.
Very recently, Lorraine was invited to a community event where our esteemed Premier was present, and I'm hoping that Kelly is going to be able to show us a video of that event, because there was a bit of argy-bargy between Lorraine and our Premier Malinauskas in relation to the giving of the jabs. And Lorraine stood her ground beautifully. So give me a few minutes, please. Okay, good. All right, let's talk about something completely different. And while she gets a few minutes to show that video, how about we talk about, when did you do your last Forest of the Fallen, Lorraine? How long ago, and where was that?
It was before winter hit, so we don't do them during the rainy season here. I think the last one, I can't actually remember, it might have been in Harndorf, I think. We do a lot in Harndorf. It's a very good venue. And we get a lot of people through, lots and lots and lots of people, more so than any other venue that we've actually set up in. We've been all over South Australia.
Yeah, well, Harndorf's a tourist town, isn't it? So you've got a bit of a captured group coming through, and on different people each weekend too, not the same people over and over again.
Is the council good to you there,
right.
Lorraine? Is the council quite good to you when you planted up there?
The council has tried every which way to get me out. They've sent council people down there. They've sent even a councilman with a security guard once, and they got the police on more times than I can count. But I've stood my ground and said that it's a vigil, and there's no council regulations, as you know, Rosemary, with relation to vigils. and the police have been very kind to us. I think they've gone through on several occasions and just said, look, we're not doing anything illegal. We're not creating a disturbance. We're not blocking access to anything. We're not destroying any of the lawn. We're very respectful. So they've let us alone, and the council's pretty well given up, I think, now.
Have you got a lot of help when it comes to planting? Because it's hard work planting in a park. I speak with some experience on that.
I am truly, truly blessed. I have the best team in Australia, I think. They're a wonderful, wonderful team. Probably about, I've got on my, when I send my messages out each fortnight, I send it out to about 50 or 60 people. And we usually end up with somewhere between 10 and 20 people helping each time.
Great.
So I'm very, from the beginning, it's been a very strong team.
It's very important. I've got about 15 who, because we do it in the sand, it's really much easier. It's quite a quick operation. And of course, with the weather in Sydney, we're blessed with most weekends is one day that it's not too bad. It can't be windy either, as you would know, Lorraine. But we've been quite lucky in the winter. We haven't planted it in the sand, but we've been planting it at DY. And for some reason, that park along the foreshore has been particularly well watered, so it's quite soggy. And we can plant it, quite quick. We don't plant the whole thing in the winter either, because we don't like to take up too much of the parkland. But that's been very successful there, because huge numbers of people walk past from the coffee shops and the restaurants. So it captures quite a lot of passing conversation.
Actually, I just saw, sorry, Suzanne, I just saw the comment. Could you hold your phone up?
Yeah, I'm going to play it like.
Even though we can't see it. You can see it. Put it up again.
I'm going to hold it up.
My name's Lorraine.
Okay, I'm going to hold it up.
Yep.
Hang on.
That way. Yep.
That way. Hang on.
Turn it up loud.
Yeah, we can hear it. It's what you can hear it anyway, even if you can't see it. Okay, let's do this.
We don't need to see it. We can listen.
Community member. I'm not sure whether people in this room are aware, but recently, on June the 3rd, there was an Australian Government Department of Health recommendation for the healthy infants and children and adolescents aged 18 and under, not recommended to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, as the potential harms outweigh any benefits. Now, I have been in pharmacies and in doctor surgeries in the last few weeks, and none of them seem to be aware. As far as I'm concerned, this should be headlines across the state, if not the nation. These are our children that we're talking about. It should be on every media outlet, and every kindergarten, childcare centre, school should be notified of this, and the pharmacies and the doctors. I've got a copy of this. If anyone would like it, I have enough probably for everyone in this room to have a copy of this directly off the handbook, the Australian Immunisation Handbook.
Thanks for your question. All I know, and I've spent a lot of time talking about the COVID-19 vaccine in this role and others. All I know is that when it comes to the state government's vaccination policies, they are always informed exclusively by the science and the advice that we get out of our national regulators, including the one that you are reciting, right? And so wherever there is a advice from the AHPPC, whether they make it right, or other governing authorities that regulate vaccines and the administration of them, we follow them.
This is very important, as several children have died from this vaccine in Australia. And lots have been injured, Peter. Lots.
I'm not in a position to debate.
Who knows people that have been injured by the COVID-19 vaccine?
Good.
No hands?
My husband died.
Anyway, if anyone would like one, I've got one.
All I what I would say is this, and again, this is probably a similar line of
Their children. Their children.
All I have to do as policymakers make sure that we're requiring science, testing that science, and acting in accordance with science. And
It is.
Well done.
Yeah,
He
well
didn't
done.
play, did he? He had nothing.
No.
He was
Umming and ahhing. Well done, Lorraine.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
I
Needs
guess,
to be said.
I guess you won points by actually even getting him to speak with you. You've done well there.
Yeah, well, that's right. But when I asked for a show of hands there, that wasn't shown on the camera, but about 20 people in the audience put their hands up. And interestingly enough, there was only about 100 people in the audience.
Oh, really?
Where
And
was that? What was the meeting?
High school, and it was like a Q&A for residents. And one of my friends, Eric, was invited via email because he's a local resident, and he asked me to join him, which I was happy to do. And I was running a bit early, so I stopped at the Stirling Library, Susanna, and I thought I'll photocopy enough, as much money as I had in my purse at the time. I'll photocopy the recommendation directly off the government website. So I did, and I had exactly $20, which gave me 100 copies. And funnily enough, when I turned up there was about 100 people in the
Lovely.
gymnasium.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I then handed them out after the talk had wrapped up. I stood outside the door and handed them out as they walked out. And I just said government recommendation, new government recommendation, and most people took it. And then Eric wanted to go to dinner, so we went. And as I was walking down the driveway, people were chasing me down the driveway, asking me for them.
Wow.
Wonderful. Well done.
Yeah, well done. No, it's
Well,
good.
So it was,
That was really brave too. Yeah.
It feels like we're at a turning point now with Trump saying what he did this morning. I think it's becoming just undeniable. And what with RFK and the things that he's saying, there was a fantastic podcast today with Tucker Carlson talking with Kirk Moore, the doctor who gave saline, and all sorts of bits and pieces came out in that, which Tucker Carlson was horrified at. But, you know, the whole vaccine industry needs to be looked at again, obviously. I think we all know that.
Close it down,
Yeah,
I think.
abolished.
Abolished. Yeah. Just follow the money, get rid of the money, problem solved. Really. Quite simple. Yeah.
So,
yes.
And that had so many views, didn't it, Lorraine? Your
it
your
actually,
session.
well, surprising. Someone put it on Facebook, and one of my helpers, Kieran, put it on Facebook, and it went up to 65,000 views over the first 5 or 6 days. And then someone put it on Twitter. I don't know who that was, but someone alerted me to it being on Twitter, and it had about 25,000 views on Twitter as well. So it's getting out there, and that was my main goal, is to get it out there to the general public, to let them, to help them to become aware of the, because a lot of people aren't aware. And even, you know, the doctors and pharmacists, like I said, they weren't aware when I went. And
they won't want to be.
no.
And the implications are so big.
They won't want to be, you're right. They won't want to know, will they?
I don't want to know. It'll affect the back pocket.
Interestingly enough, the lady that called out, I don't know whether you heard it towards the end of that video, she called "My Husband Died" on the video. She was actually just at the event and lining up to ask the Premier a different question altogether to do with her nursing home. And when I broached the subject and spoke about the vaccines and the deaths and injuries, she just yelled out, "My husband died." And when they took the microphone from me, after I asked for a show of hands, I walked back to my seat, and I went and gave her a hug and said, I'm sorry for your loss. And, you know, I didn't know that lady. That was just happened. And when she got up to tell her talk, she actually did mention and basically validated what I'd said, and then went on to say how her husband had died and how painful
Terrible.
and suffering and that. So it was quite shocking, but you know, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. She was meant to.
Hopefully you opened a few eyes.
Every story is shocking. Lorraine, do you get a lot of people stopping and telling you their stories at the forest, or is it more getting the word out? How does it work in your case?
No, I do. We do get lots of people, and we have GPs and that I can direct them to help them. And there have been a few people that have done that and have been very grateful for the help and the resources. One man in particular who's in the display, Anthony Gowrie from Mount Gambier, he was helped a lot by Lorraine here in Adelaide.
Do you get a lot of backlash from the medical people who come by? Do you get a lot of... they're the ones who give me a hard time.
Occasionally, yes, you're right. Yes.
We had one last Saturday. She's been called by a couple of times, and the crazy thing is they shout over their shoulder a whole lot of sort of rude comments and keep walking. So you never get the opportunity to engage with them. It's just this sort of shouting at you and running away, really. But,
they can't argue because they've got nowhere to go. That's the problem. We've had them at ours as well. And they can't say anything. They don't want to engage because they'll lose the argument or the debate. Yeah. Sorry, Susanna.
Have either of you ever spoken to police or paramedics? I'm interested to know how many people in the past used to be found dead at home, just dead. Was that a common thing? Because on the weekend, I'm now aware of two men who both died at home. One got up to have a wee in the middle of the night and dropped dead, and they found him. Well, he dropped dead last Wednesday, but they didn't find him until Saturday. And then another one got up and dropped dead. And did that used to happen very much? Does anyone know?
No. Can I say I met? I was at Mona Vale Beach. This is going back at least 18 months ago. And there was a young paramedic having his lunch there, looking out over the water at Mona Vale Beach. And I went up to him and asked him, and he said, when the boosters rolled out, we were picking up people from home all the time. Yeah, so yes, I think the boosters were when it was really huge. We were finding people having cardiac arrest.
People are still getting their shots, though, aren't they? There are still people going to get shots, because I walked through the supermarket arcade in Mount Barker the other day, and there was the sandwich board proudly out the front of the pharmacist saying now administering flu and COVID vaccines
combined.
So, yeah.
Terry White's the worst.
Yes, that was Terry White. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Someone showed me something just recently that you can have a choice of any half a dozen at once, which sounds just fabulous, doesn't it? I mean, you can have Japanese encephalitis, and you can have a bit of COVID, and you might even want a bit of rabies thrown in on the top just in case. But the tetanus injection, gosh, someone said to me, I remember, it's a friend of mine, actually a friend in Adelaide. She choked and she fell over in her own house and got a very nasty gash on her forehead. And when she came to, she was really quite badly injured. When she came to, she was taken to hospital, and the first thing they did was jab her with a tetanus injection. Now, I don't know whether people are aware of the fact that you don't just get tetanus, you actually get DTP. But there's a 1 in 10 million chance of anyone ever getting tetanus, because it was really only during the First World War, when people were wading through the corpses of dead horses and a lot of horse poo, that there was any likelihood of getting tetanus at all.
Yeah, I've had a horse with tetanus. I actually did have a horse with tetanus many years ago, and stiff neck, couldn't do anything, came good, but had tetanus. Yeah.
With the right treatment, yeah.
Yeah,
right
that's
treatment.
fine. Yeah.
And even the injection, it won't help you, even if you do, for whatever reason, stumble into a tetanus situation. Well, it's been and gone by the time the tetanus injection starts to work anyway.
And they tried to tell everybody it was from a rusty nail. Really?
No.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's money.
What else?
Money and brainwashing.
Yeah.
People lose count of how many tetanus injections they've had because they're so free with them. But they're a tremendous problem with fertility too. It's not like it has no consequence.
Yeah, that's
Terrible.
right.
Terrible.
Well, they all have consequences.
Lorraine, you're going to have to get going in a second because you've got your evening
Scrabble.
planned. So I just wanted to thank you very much for coming on tonight, and I'm sorry that there was the miscommunication about the video, but I think we managed to get the gist of it with me holding up my phone. Do we agree that that came across okay, ladies?
Perhaps we can work it out, Susanna, and play it the next time. Try and put it into
Put it on repeat because it's quite gratifying to watch to see Melanuscus not have much comeback, really, does he? No.
Stuck for words, that boy.
Yeah. So thank you for taking the time, Lorraine, and keep up the good work. The weather will improve here soon, and the ground will be nice and soft after the winter, so you can bang in some flags and start your displays again.
Nice to meet you, Lorraine.
Yeah,
lovely to meet. Yeah.
And keep up the good work. Good.
Well,
good.
That's great. Actually, we haven't done a forest here for a while because the weather here is so bad in the winter. Snow, rain, it's been good snow season. So, but come spring again, we don't have very many visitors at the moment because of what's happened. So there's no one around. So the caravan
it's still deserted, is it? Well, they haven't found that man yet, have they?
No.
What a distressing time for everyone.
Well, but I think the town's really suffering. The town's 10 kilometres away from where it happened, so it's quite distressing for the town because I've just had someone cancel the yoga retreat because they're being told to stay away. People are being told to stay away. Well,
why?
Well, because he's on the loose. But
as if
it doesn't make any sense. So
no,
it's very frustrating because it's hurting the town. All the shops, accommodation, everything sort of,
Well, he's not likely to turn up at a yoga retreat, is he?
Well, no, he's not going to turn up in lots of places. So, it's still going on.
Yeah.
We thought today they were really concentrating on one area today because we live in that valley, but 5 o'clock came and they were gone again. So I don't know what the story is. Anyway,
they need to be seen to be doing something, but they know damn well that he's not out there because he was probably never there in the first place.
He could have gone, Anyway, so we'll start doing our forest hopefully at the school holidays. But you were interesting what you say with the medical people walking along. I think we did have one. I don't know if I told you this story about the one lady from Roma Hospital. She was the director of nursing. And when we started doing this early days, she came along and I didn't know who she was and got chat, just said, "Oh, hi, where are you from?" "I'm from Roma." She said, "I'm the director of nursing at the hospital." And I said, "Oh, what do you think about our display?" And she said, "It's really good." She said, "We gave 7 shots in a row and they had 6 anaphylactics."
Oh, how awful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she said, I said, "What did you do?" So she said, "They wrote to the Queensland Health Department, never to be heard from again." So she said, "We just stopped doing it."
So she won't do them anymore at all.
Well, this was years ago now. This is when it was all started. So,
when we were on the Vax bus, we went from Ballina, I think I told you, down the coast, Coffs Harbour, Port Macquarie, Gosford, Newcastle. We pulled up for a coffee stop and because of course the Vax bus is hard to miss. It's absolutely enormous. It's black with Vax written on the side of it, so one's not likely to miss it. Anyway, this girl came, a woman 35ish, came up with her husband, and you never know. In fact, we didn't really get any backlash at all while we were on the Vax bus from the public. Everyone was really thrilled to see us, and this nurse was saying that she worked in a local hospital and that she, a little bit like Kirk Moore, she couldn't live with herself administering any of these vaccines anymore, so she would just give anyone who wanted one a saline injection and not even say anything.
Oh, good.
She just said, "Look, I've seen," and when it all started, she said, "Our ward was full of young men having cardiac issues," and as soon as she saw that, she thought, "I'm just not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it."
How brave!
Her morals.
Her morals were great. But another person I know who's a nurse in Melbourne, as a matter of fact, when all this started up, I spoke to her and said, "Oh, look, this is bad. These aren't good things." And she said, "No, every, we see our cardiac ward full of young men." And I said, "Well, aren't you saying something?" And she said, "Oh, no, I'm retiring soon. I don't want to jeopardise my superannuation." Couldn't believe
That was
that.
about it. Yeah.
And she was a mother of 3. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know when is the time when there's that saying when does morality take over authority? It has to at some stage. Your own morality must take over something you're told to do, or you have to challenge it, unless you've got no soul.
Well, it's a funny business, and just on Sunday I was at Freedom at the Park at Tunks Park, which is a great group of people here in Northbridge in Sydney. And every time we do Tunks, which is every fortnight, I really recommend people come along to it if they're near Northbridge. On every second Sunday it is from 10 till 12. There's a huge group and we get some very good speakers. But the last Sunday we were there, and of course, I'm very tender about all this, having just got off the Vax bus. Having seen people with autistic children, and there was a man there who was discussing divergent personalities and problems, and he was actually saying, "Oh, we should be lauding all the people who've got divergent, brains or whatever. It's something that we should be making use of and making it into something that's commendable and accommodating this in our system, our school system," which all sounds lovely and warm and fuzzy and caring. Anyway, I said to him when it came to question time, well, why are 15% of 6-year-olds on NDIS? Because they're on the spectrum. Well, this was something that he hadn't even looked at, and yet he'd spent years devoted to looking after ADHD children and children who are on the spectrum, but he wasn't in the least interested in why it was happening. And as for putting it all under one umbrella of just this sort of mild divergent personality, if he'd met some of the people I met on the bus who have sons or sons in particular, because boys are much more prone to autism, but just picture what it's like having a boy in the house who's perhaps 30, weighs 80 or 90 kilos, wears a nappy, gets frustrated and has no outlet for his frustrations. They need to be sedated, or else they start hitting walls or hitting you. I mean, and he's acting as though this is some sort of mild issue that we should be welcoming and saying isn't this marvellous. So I found that attitude extraordinary. But the icing on the cake was the next person who came and spoke to us, because he was completely oblivious to. You mentioned vaccine, and he looked at you with real bewilderment. Oh, it couldn't be that. It couldn't possibly be vaccines that's causing this. And then the next person who spoke, and, by the way, they were very nice people. They're very much the crusaders for the cause, and all warm and fuzzy and all those lovely things, and lots of virtue signalling laid thickly on. And this other woman, she was talking about food allergies, and both her children were severely anaphylactic and were constantly being prodded with pens because they were about to expire from some ghastly thing or other. And I said to her, "Well, why? What causes it?" Oh, she said, "Oh, it's just bad luck."
It's just the way you said it.
"It's just bad luck," she said. And I said, "Well, could it be the 43 injections we're giving our children before they're 4? Would that perhaps be something to do with it?" "Oh, no, it's just bad luck." So we are still dealing with this obtuse behaviour. But, my Vax bus experience, I tell you, it took me about a week to get over that, because the stories I was told, I mean, they stay with you. You don't forget those people, which is why even when they stop these vaccines, my mission certainly is to help the people whose lives have been destroyed by it. I say to my sister, when they stop the vaccines, I can just sink into oblivion and no one will ever mention my name again with any luck. But then she said to me, "Oh, do you really think you can walk away from all the injured people you've met?" And I thought, no.
Actually,
no, of course I can't.
That's the whole thing. The people they're just leaving behind with injuries, both physical and mental injuries, mental health injuries. Then you see all these mental health places, foundations and everything. Well, why aren't they saying, well, hang on, could some of this be caused by what we've just been through in the last 5 years? Could they not see this?
Certainly, I know of several young people particularly the young ones like Brittany, that beautiful girl, Brittany Spinks, who's engaged now, which is lovely, and Connor and Ellie Sutton, all these young ones, these beautiful young people, they suffer from real trauma and PTSD because they trusted the government agencies and they took these things in good faith, and their lives have been destroyed. Of course, you'd be traumatized.
Well, those lives that have been destroyed, I just wish they would take legal action against whoever forced them to have it. If they were forced to hold their job, it's blackmail. I'm sorry, it's blackmail, no matter which way you look at it.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. There are some actions happening that they are doing that. But yes, I suggest that to people. I mean, I don't know why they're not more angry. In fact, it's quite extraordinary that they seem to, every now and then I meet someone who's angry, but mostly they seem to almost blame themselves, which I find it extraordinary that they're not more angry. Although, some of the people on the bus, particularly when it was their children, a couple of the stories I heard on the bus, a beautiful family, the Furlongers, they won't mind me saying this, because Peter and Donna are very keen to spread the word about what's happened to them. He got one of those bad lots, and his son, Lachlan, who's now 13, was badly injured by childhood vaccines and has become autistic. I think it was his 1-year-old vaccine that rendered Lachlan autistic. But Peter had to go and take the vaccine to keep his son going to remedial swimming. I mean, how ridiculous was that to go swimming he had to be vaccinated? I don't think he was even in the pool, but just to take him there, he had to be. And unfortunately, he got that really bad batch that Sharon Cousins talks about. In fact, I met another person who had the same batch, and they had very similar injuries, which is just hideous. But Peter's had 3 brushes with cancer. He's had shocking heart issues and all sorts of neurological issues. It's been an absolute nightmare. And he was a really fit kind of Mallee bull kind of a man, living in the country, chopping wood, and really fit, lovely guy. And vaccines have destroyed their family.
And they won't get any, apart from the people talking about it like us, they'll get no recognition with the narrative mainstream, anything like that. And that's who needs to hear it. I don't even think people would believe it then, though. Some people, as you said, it's just like a wall.
It's very odd. It's very odd.
Can I ask some questions about the Vaxxed bus, please? So is this an Australian bus, or is that one of the American ones that's come over from America to Australia?
No, it's an Australian one paid for by the Australian Vaccine Risk Network that Meryl Dorey started 30 years ago. Can you imagine 30 years ago embarking on this? She's a very brave woman. And Anita Huffmeister has become the president now, and she's doing a brilliant job. There were 4 of us on the bus. There was Derek and Shelley, who Derek was the driver and Shelley organised all the venues and where we stayed in the campsites and everything. And then Anita was fabulous with she does interviews as well, but somehow or other I ended up doing the interviews, which I really enjoyed doing, even though they were heartbreaking. But Anita managed all the technical side of it, because that's definitely not my strong suit. Anyway, it worked very well. We interviewed about 40 people, and I did a couple of little interviews because some of the people didn't really want to sit down and talk at length, but I did the sort of typical 2-minute ones that I do at the forest. And it was a very, very moving experience. And of course, we're doing the next one in November. We're going to be starting from Bateman's Bay, going to Kiamba and Ulladulla and down that way, ending up at Bowral. And Philip Altman is keen to help us with that, Dr. Altman, who's been such a fantastic support and done so much hard work with his Substack and everything with AMPS. So he's our great friend, and he is organising something there. So I think we're going to have a very interesting trip. But it was very heartening to see the reception we were getting, because the Vax bus is exactly the same as the Vax bus that Del Bigtree and Polly Tommy took around America. It's a replica. Fantastic effort of Merrill's to organise that and get it copied. So, and even the interior, when we do the interviews, they could be intersposed as well. They're both the same. So we run it very much the way Polly does her interviews. People make a booking and they go to the website and make a booking. And then we always try to have a place available where we can sort of congregate and perhaps have a coffee and a chat while people wait. And of course, often people just come along and say, "I'd like to tell people what happened to me." We get quite a lot of that, people just calling by, not necessarily having a booking, and they're very welcome. We also like to have people who come along and tell us about why they didn't get their children vaccinated, which usually means a ghastly story of one of their children being injured and then subsequently realising that that was a bad idea, which is really what happened to my family.
So is the plan for that bus to go all around Australia eventually?
Well, we'd love that to happen. It's a matter of organising. It's a big thing organising it. We need obviously a venue at each spot, ideally, and we stay in campsites and cabins, which works really well because, of course, the bus can be parked there, and then these cabins are actually very comfortable. We often get a cabin for 4 people, so we've 2 in each room, and that works out well. And we pay for our own food or whatever, and so it doesn't cost us a lot other than in fuel, and the fuel obviously is expensive, but it really does have an impact. And it was wonderful seeing how people would toot and wave and cheer us as we drove through towns. It was fabulous.
Did you find any? Did you find any?
Sorry.
Did you find any good parking spots in the GP's rooms?
Oh, we parked outside the Civic Centre at Katoomba, which was quite exciting because the mayor of Katoomba has given the Vax bus a very hard time, and he got very agitated about it all. He complained even before we arrived and said we weren't welcome. So we went there and sat right outside and did all the interviews. And we kindly gave him a whole lot of CDs of Vaxxed, poked through his letterbox so he could just update himself on what he needed to find out. And anyway, subsequently, we got a ticket in the mail, $140, saying we'd parked illegally, which is absolute nonsense because it was a Saturday we were there. And we parked outside, but there was only a half-hour limit from Monday to Friday. So it was completely inappropriate to be given a ticket. So we're going to argue with that one. So that'll be a bit more publicity and a bit more embarrassment for that stupid man who's mayor there.
Has it been to Victoria? Has the Vax bus been to Victoria?
I know it's been to Tasmania. I'm not sure if it's been to Victoria, but I imagine it'd be huge. I'm not sure which trips they've done before because prior to 2020, they did a couple of trips. Merrill did a few trips, but I'm not sure if it was Victoria. I do know that one of the last trips was Tasmania. And of course, in 2020, you can imagine the reception they were getting then. They were hounded out of town. But the reception now is very different because there are so many injured.
There's a question. What is the name of the Facebook group to watch all the interviews that you've done, Rosemary?
It's No Jab, No Job, No Way. But unfortunately, the live interviews have actually just disappeared because they only last for a month on Facebook. However, we are going to upload them all onto Rumble on the AVN Rumble channel. AVN. If you get onto the AVN on Rumble, there are quite a lot of other interviews that have been done, some of which are very, very moving. So, but I'm anxious for the last lot to come on because we really did meet some amazing people, very brave, and people who managed their situation incredibly well. There was one lady there, her name was Judy, and she had 4 children, and it was her second child who became severely injured at the age of 2, he was. And she said he turned from a beautiful, loving little boy into a raging beast. And she said that there was every chance that if he'd gone to a normal school, he would have really, really injured someone. So she ended up having to homeschool him and get him through this. And she managed to bring him through, having been very badly damaged and almost unrecognisable in his behaviour. She brought him through to being really quite normal. And it was through organic food and getting all the metals out of him and working extremely hard. She was a very, very dedicated woman. She was very interesting too. So I'd like that particular video to be made public more, which will obviously happen when it gets onto Rumble. Look out for that one. Her name was Judith.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great.
It was a great experience.
The stories keep coming.
When you realise what you know, like you asked me earlier whether my grandchildren were vaccinated, and it was only my little 8-year-old who was vaccinated. And my cousins had said to me, "Don't get him vaccinated," and I thought, "Oh, they must be, they're just taking it a bit too far." I understood that 9/11 was an inside job, and I knew that Port Arthur massacre was all orchestrated by the government, but I couldn't take it in my mind that vaccinations weren't a good idea. And now it seems so obvious.
But people always say to me, "Why would they do that?" And the Hep B one, actually in this Tucker Carlson interview just today, apparently Tucker didn't know about Hep B, that it had only been tested on 140 babies and the duration of the trial was only 4 or 5 days. Well, Tucker was just, his mouth was open the whole time as Kurt Moore said more and more to him. But it is profoundly shocking, particularly when you find out that there'd been no true placebo tests. And of course, the reason for that is, they couldn't risk our precious children not having any protection at all. So they all had to be filled up with aluminium so you could blur the lines of the test, And what troubles me greatly now is the fact that they brought through the 3-year-old injections forward to 18 months. And I have to say, the cynical side of me wonders whether that's because it's going to be harder to identify the damage they've done to an 18-month-old in comparison to a 3-year-old.
Yeah, because of the development stage.
Harder to hide it. Easier to hide it.
Easier to hide it. Oh, he'll catch up. She'll catch up. Yeah, that's
Isn't
right.
it evil?
Well, I've even heard the same thing with eye testing, that they've dropped the levels with eye testing so you can get children into glasses earlier. Because once they've got them at a very young age, they've got them forever. Because I actually know a young girl who told me this, and that's what the field she works in, and she was a bit horrified that this has happened.
It's the same with everything, isn't it? Like cholesterol level used to be here and now it's down here. Like my husband went along and had a blood test a couple of weeks ago, and the doctor wants to send him off for a calcium score heart test because cholesterol was like just, I can't remember what it was, but it was, let's say it was 3.8 to 4.7. His was like 3.9.
Oh, no. Tell him that's rubbish. Do some cholesterol.
Yes.
Well, it's what your brain's made of. You need all the cholesterol you can get.
The higher, the better.
Well, yeah, mine's quite high and has been since I was 21.
I'll send you some things to watch, Susanna, about cholesterol, and you'll go, oh.
Wow, don't worry, my cousin's all over it. He said he talks about the firefighting cholesterol and the good cholesterol that comes out in the LSA and the LSD, and I kind of get quite bamboozled by it. But yeah, I'm not.
Just another way to make a few more dollars.
Yeah, right. Now, are they trying to get us off? Because I
think so. I think they've got another one coming on, haven't they?
Yeah.
Lovely message from Michael saying thank you. So.
Yeah, thank you. Fuck off.
Thank you for having me on again. It's always lovely to see you girls.
We'd love to have you on more regularly. We'd love to have you on more regularly because you always have so much information, and I think people love to hear what's happening, and you're like a very good barometer for what's going on. So let's get you back soon.
Love to, particularly after the November bus trip. You'll have a long
yes.
Take some photos, pictures.
Well, maybe we could have you on while you're on the bus trip. That might be interesting.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be great.
Love to do that. Yeah, great.
Good. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thanks, girls. Thank you again.
All right, we're ready to go now, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Love you
Susanna.
too. Bye.
Bye, Michael. Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
Bye.
Historically, we are the debris, forgotten faces, never more to be. Instead of legends fighting for something that had no guarantees, living ghosts we chose to live and die as their worker bees. What didn't we bring?